we are in. I should actually change the banner on that since we're actually in Matt and Mike's. But you know what? We'll just go with it because, the tournament still is going on. Anyway, this is Matt and Mike's X-Files CCG, Dax, so you know what you got to do. Finger guns, my good friend. And yes, this is Mike and Matt's X-Files CCG, a channel dedicated to the X-Files collectible card game. I'm your host, Steven, filling in for Mike and Matt, and we have a very special impromptu episode for you today. As you'll see on my right here, or maybe it's my left, depending on how you're looking at this, but we have from the UK, Mr. Dax Golding, the head of the X-Files collectible card game Facebook group, and more importantly, our custom card maestro, who we wouldn't be here without, because Dax, especially today, and in the greater sense of the game and our efforts to create an expanded universe of cards for this very beloved game, Dax is here with us today to showcase a print run, the first print run for another upcoming expansion. Dax, tell us, which expansion do you have for us?
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We have got the first print run, just arrived this morning, of the new Fight the Future inspired expansion called Blackwood, which has been in the works for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. When we first sort of came up with the idea, it was hoped we'd get it out in time for the 25th anniversary of Fight the Future. So that deadline kind of slipped a little bit, but here we are.
Yes, and this is if I'm not mistaken, a 55 card expansion that is, inspired by the events of the first feature film. Am I correct on that? 55 cards?
There are 54 cards plus the cover art. Yeah.
Excellent. So this is pretty exciting because at this point, when we have a first print run of the cards, that does mean we are pretty much near the end of this long process of creating the cards from inception to completion. We are nearing that point because now we have the first print run of these cards is in hand, which Dax will be opening in just a moment to showcase some of the great cards that are going to be offered in this set. And that means we are pretty close to the point when you, the fans of this game, will be able to order a copy of the expansion through Dax, just like with the previous expansions, the unreleased Scully expansion, the unofficial Season 4 expansion, just like with those previous ones. We are going to be soon providing those for those of you who love the game and that's near and dear to your hearts. You will be able to order a set of this in due time. But why don't we show you what's part of this package, Dax? So as I saw, you were holding up looks like an envelope that was unopened at this point. So
so if you go ahead and order these, that's the packet they come in. So I haven't even opened this yet, so I'll crack that open now.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you to the forefront, so then that way, because you're going to be holding the cards up to the screen, and that way people can get a real good look at these cards. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't think to get a hover cam or anything to set up, but nonetheless, this is intended to be a preview of what is part of this new expansion. And so Dax, as I said, we got the first print run, so it's pretty much refined. There might be some little details, cosmetics, or other bureau file numbers that we'll have to figure out for the ones that we're going to make available to everyone. But we're pretty much there, right?
I think so. So they come from the printer, shrink wrapped. I shall very carefully slip this open.
And I want to thank everyone who's tuning in for this impromptu broadcast, which Dax and I just decided to do on the fly like 3 hours ago. Unfortunately, Mike is out in the middle of a lake somewhere, so he's not able to join us. But if you are watching live, please feel free to drop some comments, questions, of course. Bring questions about this set if you're very interested in it.
Okay, so first card up will be the cover art. which is inspired by previous CCG expansions. Not much to say about that, really, but that's the first one up.
But yes, when you get that brick of cards in your mailbox, that is going to be the first one you see because it'll come shrink wrapped, and that'll be on the top of it. So that's the way you know which expansion you're receiving. Because at this point, Dax, there are 2 expansions currently out there for people to order through you, and this will soon be the 3rd.
That's right. That's right. The Scully set's still available, and the season 4 inspired set can still be purchased. Again, as ever, you just pay the cost of the printing and the shipping.
That's right. And of course, the shipping will vary depending on where you live. And Dax and I know from lots of our conversations behind the scenes where shipping can often be problematic. I've shipped cards to people, as far as Japan and certain parts of of Europe. And sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. I even had a difficult time getting some cards to the Czech Republic one time, but nevertheless, we try to do our best to make sure that those cards can get there. But sometimes it's easier for some places than others, isn't it?
Absolutely. So first up out the gate, I think in line with the original, the premiere set. So the first suit of cards will be combat cards. So we have from the opening scene on the film.
Yes, with the Neanderthals. Yep.
So
from 10,000 BC. Very nice.
And the title on that one is the Prehistoric Close Encounter.
Which I do recall we spent a long time trying to come up with that title, and I think I got to give credit to Guillaume for coming up with that, if I'm not mistaken.
Play on any evolutionary or alien adversary to add 3 to their close range combat skill. I won't spend too much time going through the game effects. We're limited on time, and there's a lot of cards.
Yes, we'll highlight some of the better ones that might have people very much eager to get their hands on a copy. So it looks like we have 3 combat cards that are part of
3 combat cards. Second card will be this one.
And noted. Yes, from the scene mysterious Michaud sacrifices himself in the federal building in Dallas. And so this one, if I'm not mistaken, this is not the vending machine bomb. It's a little bit different, but it does inflict a sizable amount of damage on the agent beyond like the number required to send him to the hospital. Because I mean, come on, if anything's going to kill an agent, it's going to be an explosion, a point blank explosion. So for the low cost of discarding a witness plus 2 conspiracy points, you can really inflict a sizable amount of damage on a particular agent in the course of combat. So this is pretty exciting because in the 2 previous expansions that you have made available for everyone, we have only seen a grand total of 1 combat card, and that was a promo, the Backbreaker card. The Season 4 expansion had no combat cards in it because combat cards were a little hard for me to come by at that point in time. So, yes, you're getting 3 combat cards with this expansion. And what's, pray tell, is the 3rd one on there?
Well, you said about Point Blank Explosion, but I quite like this card. This is Point Blank. Another one to deal quite a bit of damage to your opponent. And a nice image of the well-manicured man. One of my favourite characters from the show and the film.
And he did not really get a chance to grace many of the commercially released cards outside of the ultra rare Unexpected Call. So it is very nice that we're going to be seeing some of these characters from the later seasons represented on some of these cards. And that, as a little tease, is not the only card in this set featuring the well-manicured man.
He may well make another appearance.
Yes. I'm very much excited for that card. That one, I do get to credit myself for helping you come up with the effect for that one. So what's next? Which suit is up next?
So next up will be the sight cards. Again, won't dwell too long on the sight cards. They're kind of a staple of the game. But we do have the federal building in a lot of these are in Texas. Federal building there. Next one up will be Casey's Bar, Mulder.
That's in Washington.
Drowning his sorrows. Third one is the quarantine site
in North Texas. And I point out that all of these are going to be multi-sites. So you're going to have 2 prerequisites, 2 question types, because the reason is that all the possible combinations for the 2-cost monosites have been exhausted by the Scully set, by the 1013 set, and of course by the larger base Premier / Truth is Out There edition. So we wanted to have some of the other multi-site combinations represented in these cards. So we have, I think it's about 10 sites here. So you're going to have some other combinations of skills that will make it so that you can maybe try out different combinations of agents in order to investigate these sites. So that makes it a little more exciting. So what's the next one we have?
Next one, it was the Bethesda Naval Hospital.
In Montgomery, Maryland. Yeah, medical and sciences. So that might be a site that a Scully heavy team would be most inclined to investigate. And this next one, Dax, is pretty close to home for you.
It is. Yeah. I kind of wanted to put London, England. I made a pilgrimage to the building where they shot those scenes around the back of the Royal Albert Hall in London. So. And it hasn't changed much apart from the colour of the railings. But yeah, it was. I really wanted to see that one in the set.
And this one's going to be a bureaucracy observation site, so maybe a Skinner heavy team might be more inclined to investigate this one. But also, observation is a skill that is found on a lot of agents, including my favorite, Detective Manners. Now, this next site we don't actually have a specific location for, although in the movie it was Texas. But what's this next one that you have for us?
Next one will be the B-Dome.
B-Dome, a very crucial moment in the series, very riveting scene. And actually, I think this is a good time to point out one little graphic that you have inserted on all of these cards, including that face card that you showed us at the start. And that's very much pivotal to the show, and you might be able to see it if audience, if you look closely, and maybe Dax, if you'll hold it to the screen, there is a little graphic on each of these cards. And what is it?
There is. Well, it's kind of key to the movie. It's the bumblebee. Or no, it's not a bumblebee. It's a honeybee.
It's a Africanized honeybee, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, you can see it just above the site prerequisite, or the effects for this site card. For which is Wilkesland, Antarctica. So as you recall from the movie, the agents went all over the globe to investigate the alien goings-ons of the movie. And so, yes, we're even including Antarctica in this as well. So pretty exciting one. This is an alien investigation and medical one. So this is a good site for either a Mulder-led team or a Scully-led team. That's a very good inclusion. And I think we have just one more site, if I'm not mistaken. Which,
the 8th and final one. You said about going around the globe. So we end up in Tatooine in Tunisia.
Yeah. So we have
where
represented.
The smoking man meets up with it's Kurtz. Is it Kurzweil? Yes.
No, not
no, not Kurzweil.
Armin Mueller-Stahl, the actor who played Strughold.
Strughold, that's it. Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again, except on one of these cards coming up shortly.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so those are the 8 new sites. Okay.
And those are very beautiful sites. And the template, of course, is very lovely and very much just like the commercially released cards. I always like looking at site cards the most because they always just seem to have like the most aesthetically pleasing scenery and imagery on there. So anyway, what do we got next? Are we looking at bluffs? Or?
Next up will be the bluffs. There are 6 new bluffs to play. First one allows alien adversaries to attack agents, ignoring activator requirements, and increases the adversary's health. And it's young Stevie who falls down the hole right at the start of the movie.
Yes, and I think that's actor, what was his name? Shane Black, who I just saw in like Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift not too long ago.
Lucas Black.
Lucas Black, thank you very much. Yes, maybe they're related. But yes, so yeah, he's a nice bluff that is going to work very well if you decide to have alien adversaries as your key conspiracy cards in your deck. And of course, because this is the X-File features film, which did heavily feature some very ferocious aliens, you can expect there's probably some alien adversaries coming up shortly. So stay tuned for that one. Anyway, so we got a couple other bluffs to show you. What's the next one?
Okay, we've got Scully in the wrong building. No, it's the wrong building. It's the wrong building. Tell me, show he's got the wrong building.
Yes,
I can't. I don't have my glasses. I can't read the script on that one.
No worries. That's why I got him here for you. But yeah, this is a keyword move card, which is going to, like some of the other cards you're familiar with, that force an opponent to move agents around. In this case, this is a more unique effect in that you're going to swap the attached site with another site. So if your opponent decides to put 2 sites on the map to potentially investigate 2 sites and get multiple questions out, what you can do is use this card to switch it around on the agents, so then potentially the agents are at their side are going to have a harder time applying their skills to it. Very ingenious effect, and for a 5 cost, I would say that's a pretty worthwhile effort to upend not 1, but potentially 2 investigations. Very handy one. I like this card. I would use it in my deck regularly. What's the next one?
Okay, it's an attempted cover-up, forcing an opposing team to make an observation for skill check. Something similar we've seen in the game elsewhere.
Yes, oftentimes we have cards that require conditions to be met in order for the effect to take place. And in this case, should that happen, the site card gets discarded, and the opponent must also, in addition to that, lose another card from their hand at random, which, is like adding insult to injury. But for a 5 cost, I would say that's a pretty worthwhile one. And I think we've got a couple more. What's the next one? I really do like the image on this next one.
Okay, so it's Scully and Mulder at the crossroads. Play this card to increase the size prerequisite by X.
This is a pretty cool one, so you got to do some math. I know Mike might not be a fan of this card because of the math you got to crunch. But yeah, this card will increase the site prerequisite by whatever the agent's total value of observation is. So depending on the team that is investigating that site, that could be a hefty amount. And I know Manners alone is only a 2 cost agent, but he's got a couple of observation. And for me, this card would probably hurt me in the course of an investigation. Brutal. What's the next one? Okay. Again, I can't read that, Stephen, but it's unmarked helicopters. Mike and I wanted to go with that rather than calling them, Black Ops helicopters or whatever. It's a homage to one of the songs on the Fight the Future movie soundtrack. That's right.
I think the band Soul Coughing.
No, it's from Soul Coughing. It's from the first musical soundtrack that was released.
Yeah.
Yes. Along with like the Foo Fighter song Down in the Park. Yes.
It's Songs in the Key of X. Is it on that album?
Songs to the Key of X. Yes, it's track 2 on that one, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Unmarked Helicopters, the card we have here, is also going to be a keyword move card that's going to force the investigating team to split up. So if you got multiple agents going to the site, this card is going to require them to get moved around. And if there's no other site on the map, then the agents are going to get moved to the bureau potentially, but they could also get sent to another site depending on how many sites are in play at that time. So this is another interesting move card. So I strongly encourage people, if as the investigating player, you might want to have some cards that might be helpful against some of these keyword move cards, much like Injured Relative or Section Chief McGrath, where an agent is forced to go elsewhere. Those would be a handy inclusion in your deck. And what's the next card we have, Dax?
6th and last, Partnership in Question.
Partnership in Question. And so you play on a team of which either Mulder or Scully are inclusions. And, for by and large, Mulder or Scully are usually going to be the lead agents on most teams. And so Mulder loses all of Mulder's skills are reduced by 1 just for this turn only, and Scully receives 2 points of damage. So that's a pretty faithful translation of what happens in this crucial scene in the episode. In addition to that, the opponent's going to subtract a little bit from the resource pool to boot. So again, it's one of those that just adds insult to injury. And that's the last of the bluffs, right?
Yeah, thanks to Guillaume for his input on that one.
In fact, he just messaged me a moment ago. He missed the beginning, but he is trying to catch up right now. So he is watching, but it's not quite live. Guillaume, when you get to this point, again, I want to thank you as well. So you were helpful as you were one of the playtesters for this expansion, along with, I do want to thank Nathan Petroshak, Dave Meyer. I think Alistair Hedding was also a playtester for this game as well. If I am forgetting any other members of our creative team who did at least one playtest for this game, I want to thank you all, because your input is what ultimately helped shape these cards and reshape them as we were getting closer to refining each of those specs, and we couldn't have done it without you. So yes, I do want to point out for everyone who's watching who may not be part of our Discord group where most of our discussions go on, we did do a number of play tests on this expansion before we got to this point, because like with the previous set, the season 4 one, we wanted to make sure these cards are mechanically sound and they blend well with the commercially released cards, so that way when you order this, you're getting cards that are going to work very well with the cards you already have in hand. So which suit are we dealing with next?
Well, no expansions complete without some agents.
Yes.
And we've got a couple of little Easter eggs in here. I won't go into too much depth on the game effects, but you will see.
We do have Fire Captain Miles Coulis, who had a brief one scene sort of in the earlier part of the movie after young Stevie gets exposed to the black oil. So he'll be one of the agents you're working with there. And he's got a healing card effect that will he's able to go and search for a healing card, because, even firemen have to have at least a little bit of medical training involved. This next one, of course, Dax, is probably for you the most important card in this expansion, right? Because he is the guy who has been gracing your Facebook page's banner from the beginning, and most people probably didn't even realize it.
Yes, he was hiding there in plain sight all along. It's a 1013 staple. Terry O'Quinn as Michaud, the sacrificial lamb who blows himself up to protect the project.
Yeah, so he's made like 3 appearances in the course of the X-Files, from seasons 2 to the movie to season 9. And in this case, he is a 6-cost agent, so he's a heavy hitter. Out of all the agents in this expansion, Darius Michaud is the one you might want to most consider including, because he's got a long range of skills, including alien investigation and bureaucracy, and he's got 2 res. But what's interesting about that is, much like Skinner, who has an effect where he's treated as 2 res if he's in the bureau, or is it 3 res when he's in the bureau. In Michaud's case, he is treated as a res 3 if he's in the bureau. However, if he's in the field section during the briefing phase, when you generate resource points, he must, like Krychek and Blevins, he must contribute to the conspiracy pool. In the case of Michaud, it's a must, whereas with Krychek and Blevins, it's optional. So it makes an interesting dynamic for the player, the owning player of this card, to consider how they want to use Michaud, especially when it comes to generating resource points or conspiracy points. Okay. And so we have another agent who, I think, as you were saying, Easter egg. This is one of them, right?
Yeah, there's an Easter egg on there. If you spot it, first person to spot it, I'll probably send you something interesting.
You might have to, because that's a pretty obscure one. I didn't know about it.
I'll wait until the cards come out, and if someone can spot it, brilliant. We've called him Agent King. A lot of these agents didn't have names, so we've taken a little bit of creative license and called him after the actors' names, Ted King. We'll move on to the next one.
Yep. And
we've got...
yes, we have Assistant Director Jana Cassidy, who had a couple of scenes in the movie, played by Blythe Danner. So she is she's like one of the only skeptics in, I think, this set. Yeah, she's a keyword skeptic agent, and this is one of the effects that I think was very different from the very beginning when we first conceived this card. But it ultimately wound up being an effect where you place a token on her, and at any time during the game, either as the conspiracy player or as the investigating player, but I think most likely it's going to be while you're the conspiracy player, you remove a token to select two opposing agents on it. Yeah, so most likely you're going to be doing it while you are the conspiracy player. So what Janet Cassidy is going to do is she's going to take two agents on the opposing team, and she's going to make it so that those two can't combine their skills together to contribute to any skill checks for that turn. It's just one turn. I think even in an earlier iteration, we had it like 2 tokens or something, and then we realized it's a bit too powerful. But it's a pretty handy effect when you're trying to keep a couple of agents from pooling their skills together to successfully investigate a site. So this is a pretty handy one. And there are very, very few agents for whom you use their game effect while the conspiracy player, but this is one of them.
Finally, a man who's made more than one appearance on the X-Files, the actor Steve Rankin. So, of course, we've called him Agent Rankin.
Very nice. And his skill is going to allow, again, place a couple of tokens on there, and each time you can discard one to add 2 to his evidence collection or sciences skill, whichever it calls for in that particular moment. So kind of in the same spirit as Agent Pendrell's effect. And so those are your agents that are your agents that are included with the base set, but those may not be the only agents included. I don't know if you want to skip ahead to those or they come in later. Save those for the end.
No, we'd save those to the end, I think.
Yeah, we can save them till the end.
Right. No, I'm aware you're pressed for time, Stephen. So we should.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
just rattle through the witness cards. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fresh witnesses. With
so we won't delve into their skills because they're mostly on par with what you come to expect from witnesses, with maybe one exception in there, maybe 2. But what do we got?
So we've got the 3 lads, the Texas Trio, we've called them. We've got Dr. Ben Braunschweig. We've got the barmaid who cuts off Mulder. Again, we've named her after the actress who played the character. She's not named in the film, but as a little tribute to the late Glenn Headley.
Yeah, very nice. Yes.
We've got Dr. Alvin Kurzweil,
played by the late Martin Landau.
Martin Landau, yes. We've got the medical technician who seals up Braunschweig, doesn't he, in underground, and leaves him to the alien.
Pretty heartless, but it was I guess it was a dire circumstance at that point. And who do we got next? Wait, this is a recurring one. I thought we already saw them on an earlier witness card.
Yeah, we did again, but I wanted to try and force these guys onto a card. Again, little tribute to the young actor who passed away. It just felt like it was a nice thing to do to have him included on a card.
And I do like this effect because unlike a lot of the traditional witnesses that modify skills, this one is played to add 1 resource point to your pool every time a keyword question or negate card is played. So much like in the spirit of like Kevin Morris or Kristen Killar, this is a witness resource that will generate resource points during the game. And oh gosh, this one is my favorite from this set.
Should give a name check to the guy as well as Cody Newton. Is the
the next one?
Who do we have next? Is it the chauffeur or is it the well-manicured man?
I have to watch the episode to be exactly sure. I think it's the well-manicured man, but I'm not 100%. It's pretty close together.
So we've got the well-manicured man making a nice appearance finally on his own card.
And this is interesting because obviously the well-manicured man is a character who played both sides, working for the shadow conspirators as well as occasionally helping out Mulder and Scully. So his effect is very interesting in that it adds 2 conspiracy points to your pool every time a keyword alien investigation or government card is played. But in addition, you can discard this card at any time to negate any one government adversary that's played. So this is a handy witness to include in your deck. Believe me, it would be in my deck when I'm playing with this set. Love this card. And of course, nice to see the well-manicured man. And I think we have just one more witness, right?
Yeah, one more witness, which is his driver, the chauffeur. Interesting game effects to help Mulder out in a crisis.
Very much so. Yes. So those are your witnesses there. Some unique effects, but also some more conventional ones to round out the witnesses in this. And I think what's next? Are we talking events, right? We got a handful of those?
Yeah, we've got 13 events, which we'll push through.
Quickly.
Okay.
This is a preview. And so DNA metamorphosis, which if you have the Scully set, this effect is pretty similar to some of the events found in the Scully set. So we're just kind of filling in some of the gaps left in some of these variant cards. What's next?
We've got the Biohazard Response Team,
which is a variant of the unexplainable time loss, but in this case, medical instead of sciences. And then what do we got? The covert government train net. Oh, no, we have.
I've got Bury the Truth.
Very nice. Yes. And again, much like the DNA metamorphosis, again, it's similar in effect, but we're just dealing with motive as the question / keyword for that one. Now we have covert government train, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Government train.
Yep. And now this one, this one is this will be an interesting one to see the effect get played. Move one game effect token controlled by an opposing player to another card, similar to the Mailman, which is a favorite card of mine from the 1013 expansion. And I think we got another trip over to London for the next one. Is that right?
Yeah. Is this the arrival of the well-manicured man in London?
Yes. Very much. And same backdrop as you mentioned earlier. So yes, we have a couple shots from that scene where they all gathered in London, and this is where you can play this card when you have your opponent sending agents to multiple sites, which does happen in a lot of games where you have your opponent trying to speed things along and get a win by investigating multiple sites. So this is a very handy card to have in that event. And we're not done with the Syndicate because I think they're on the next one, right? Cabal Influence. And so this is one where it's another move card, so you can immediately send one opposing agent to the hospital, and the agent can't contribute their skills, and you can discard a government adversary to play this card for free. And of course, we got government adversaries in this set, as well as the previous release sets. But we have another member of the Syndicate to showcase, right? We have we got to go back to Chris and Cody because we changed that Strughold image.
We did, yes. So we've got this. I've got the next one up as a surreptitious inducement.
Yes, once again featuring the Texas trio, Chris and Cody, and I can't remember the name of the other one. Probably started with a C though. So this is one of those keyword question cards. So this is a handy one. So you can play this card after when you have to answer a question about your X-File. Then the investigating team must discard all the equipment cards, and then you can actually take one of those discarded equipments and give them to one of your own agents. So that's a pretty handy one in a case where you feel like, my opponent got a question on me, but all is not lost. What's the next one?
Nice event card to protect Scully.
Love that image. Yes. And so
I think that was one of Mike's ideas he wanted to incorporate in the set.
Yes. So it's one that you might use in the case of if a combat situation should take place, which is good because, with some of these adversaries, it might be good to have an ace up your sleeve. And, this next one is very creative. And I think we went round and round and round on this one before we landed on this one. But this is one that is unique to the sites that are included from this expansion, Step Closer to the Truth. And so this is one that I would love to actually see happen. This resource card, you're going to keep it around. It has a 0 cost because the effect is going to be pretty hard to get. But obviously, if it comes up early enough in the game, you've got a better chance of doing it. But when you investigate, was it 4 of the sites in this expansion, then you can discard this card to ask any characteristic about your opponent's X-File. So another way to get a question in while you're in the course of investigating a multitude of sites. So there's a lot of, that was the other reason why we also went with multi-sites for this expansion, is because that way you have a good chance of being able to have a team that can contribute to their skills to a number of these sites. And we got another event card coming up. I think this is Buzz, isn't it?
Yeah, Buzz Myho, who started off as a witness and ended up as an event card.
Yeah, so he's gone through some evolution in the 2 years that this set was being worked on. So it is a conspiracy card. That's about the one thing that stayed the same. But yes, so you can attach him to an agent while they're in the hospital, and then the agent's skills are reduced by 1 until we're able to get Buzz off their back. So that's a pretty good one. And I think the next one's a resource card, right? It's the most expensive one in the set, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's have a look. Is it against all odds?
Yep.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Healing and a move card. So agent in the hospital, the agent may be returned immediately to the bureau with any damage fully healed. And you can't sell this one like you can do the shotgun or Nurse Owens, though. So we had to put that stipulation in there just so people weren't putting like 2 copies just to sell for CP when their round as the conspiracy player came up. I think we've got 2 more left for the events, right?
We've got the sort of granddaddy of the conspiracy who appears in the film and then we never hear from him again. It's Strughold. Right.
Yep, and Strughold is, again, much like Buzz, he went through some evolution. He was originally a bluff card before we had to change him over to event because it was just more mechanically sound to have him as an event. And what is the last one?
The final event is that the truth is still out there.
And so this is another keyword question one. So this is one that is going to give you a way to get a question should you wind up failing an investigation, but you got to have Mulder on your team for that one, for this effect to take place. So that's a pretty good one. Costs 4, so if you wind up not needing it, you could still sell it for CP. And I think we're just down to the adversaries, if I'm not mistaken, right?
We've got some equipment.
Equipment, my bad. Yes, equipment is next.
So we got one of Mike's favorites, the vending machine bomb.
That's right.
A unique game effect.
And this is going to be probably most often applied to Agent Kresge, especially if Mike is in this set. So Agent Kresge, his days are numbered once this card is made available. I think we got a little out of order because I think the welding goggles come before the bomb, right?
Sorry. Yeah, the welding goggles.
There we go. Yes, also featuring Terry O'Quinn. And they look really good on him, actually. It's a great image. And so this one is going to be able to allow to discard this card to decrease the site prerequisite by 1. So, yeah, if you're in a pinch, this card might be able to make all the difference if it's just the difference between 1 skill value. And what do we got? The virus is next, right?
Yeah, if you need something to negate an alien adversary, we've got your alien virus vaccine.
And we have, that one is an alien artifact, much like the stiletto. But in this case, you can negate an alien adversary just like with the stiletto. So handy one. And what do we got? GPS tracker next?
Yeah, we've got a GPS tracker.
Very good. And it allows the agent to provide their skills to more than 1 skill check. Discard this card to move 1 agent in the field to another site. So yes, you want to be able to investigate multiple sites, but you need 1 agent to be able to investigate both of them because, like Mulder or Michaud, they got a lot of skills to go around. So this one might be handy. And then we got the compact
digital binoculars.
Select 1 bluff to be discarded, which is good. So you want to discard this either during case assignment, but prior to playing a site, so you don't give your opponent a chance to drop a bluff down before discarding this card. And I think we have one more, and that's the cryopods, yes?
Yep, bit of a healing card.
Good healing card that heals 3 points of damage, which that'll get someone out of the hospital right quick. And so that's the equipment. And I think now we come to the adversaries, for which there are a total of 3. It was
three adversaries. We've got the attack alien from the start of the film.
Very
Goes
good.
to war with the caveman.
That's where you want that alien vaccine right there.
We've got the mysterious black-haired man.
And that's a government adversary right there. So
he puts Mulder in the hospital, doesn't he, in the film?
That's why you want the well-manicured man in your deck.
And we have a weaponized honeybee.
There you go. So I see 2 bees on that card, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got a couple of alien adversaries and 1 government adversary. But we're not done. There are 2 more cards in this set that we need to unveil. And no expansion provided by our creative team would be complete without an alternate edition or alternate version of Mulder and Scully.
Yeah. So
and you got 2 beautiful images right there, 2 promotional stills. That one being the Mulder one. As with the previous iterations that Dax has brought us, we have all the skills and all the text. Everything is the same. We just change the image around so you get a more updated version of Mulder and Scully. Because if anyone who has seen the show knows that over the course of those first 9 years, they changed a lot. And so that completes the set right there. So hopefully that has whetted your appetites, those of you watching who are thinking about getting a set. And so once again, as Dax was saying in the beginning, we're pretty close to making these available for order, but got to just make sure that we've dotted all our I's, crossed all our T's. We got to get those bureau file numbers in there as well. But yes, we can expect pretty soon, right, Dax, that people will be able to reach out to you for ordering?
Pretty soon.
Perhaps before Christmas or just in time.
Yes. Yeah. It'll be before Christmas, definitely. And I think the price point is around £15. I think that's around $20 plus the shipping, and obviously the shipping is determined by where you are in the world.
Yes, and I know some people who have tried to order from you who might live as far as Japan or maybe somewhere in South America. Not always easy. There are options for that, Dax. It's just a little trickier, a little bit more maneuvering. So if you are living outside the U.S. or Europe, reach out to Dax. There might be a little more maneuvering to get around the high shipping cost, but there are some options.
Yeah. There's always a way.
And so, yes, and if anyone's thinking about bulk ordering, that might be the best way to go to really drive down the cost. And bulk ordering is a good idea because a lot of us collectors, we like to have one set for our master, the one we keep in our binder, as well as like a couple of sets on hand for gameplay purposes. So any of us might be looking to get like a couple, 2 or 3 sets from you. So then that might be a good way to order it all at once. It helps drive down the cost, right?
Yeah, we'll work it all out. We'll work it all out.
Excellent. And so just in time, because we are coming up to the top of the hour, which means I got to get back to work because I'm on lunch break. But Dax, I do want to thank you for availing yourself at this hour. I know you got to go pick up your kid as well. So we got to sign off pretty soon. But also want to thank you, of course, because, again, we would not be here if it weren't for you, because your diligence with making these templates has made us able to create these additional fan cards that we can use with the existing commercially released cards. Because again, this was a short-lived expansion. We only got to see about 500 cards thereabouts. And so now we're getting many more cards available that do give representation to the later seasons of the show. And in this case, the movie. So this is exciting. So again, stay tuned to the Facebook group where, again, Dax runs it. So he will obviously let you know when these are available to order. And if you're not a member of the Facebook group, you can just obviously find it and just answer a couple questions and get you in there. And of course, if you're not a member of the Discord group, which is called Purity Control, don't think too hard about that. It's relation to the show. You can find us on there as well. Again, that's where a lot of the conversations are happening. So again, you can go there so you can stay up to date on what's happening with this game and all the stuff that we're bringing. So one other thing I want to point out before we sign off, tune into Alien Investigations tomorrow because we have a playtest game happening for another expansion, the unofficial season 5 expansion that I've been spearheading for almost 2 years now. So we're going to be doing the inaugural playtest for that tomorrow on the Alien Investigations channel. And Guillaume, who I believe is watching right now, is going to be one of those playtesters along with Alistair Hedden over in Scotland. So we're going to have those two gentlemen squaring off using cards from my Season 5 expansion. I'm very excited about that. So please tune into that and hit that subscribe button, both for here as well as Alien Investigations. Dax, any parting words before we sign off?
Parting words. If anyone wants proxy cards, I've got proxy cards now.
Including
so if you want an alternate version of Agent Henderson, if you want a different Fro Hickey because you're sick of the sight of the original one, if you want another X, who else have we got? The Lone Gunman. They're all here. If anyone wants a different Deep Throat to play, we've made I think around 20 proxy cards now. I haven't started sending them out, but they are exactly the same game effect, same game title, same card title rather. But if you want something more interesting to play with than the same cards you keep using over and over again, I've got them coming very soon. And
this is very handy because these are representing not just the promos, which are often hard to find, but also the ultra rares, like Deep Throat, for instance. More often than not, a lot of players who came into this game very late are going to have a hard time finding a Deep Throat at a reasonable cost. So here is a way to have a Deep Throat card that you can play in your games, and maybe you have your one ultra rare Deep Throat that's legit. You can keep that one in your master set. That way it doesn't get scuffed. So this is a great and inexpensive way to get more copies of those hard to find cards. So again, reach out to Dax. You can send him a private message through the Facebook group, or if you're in the Discord group, right, Dax, we can send you a private message there. And
absolutely, yeah. If you want to see Scully abducted again,
not by aliens this time, but rather
no.
So I might need another copy of that one because I only have 2 Scully abducted, and I do like to have at least 3 copies on hand. So I might need you to send me one of those whenever you get around to doing another print order. And I think, what's that, Dex?
No, we're all good. I think we're done. I think we've got to go.
Yes, we do. I got to get back to work. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in, and please be sure to tune in next time for another edition of Matt and Mike's X-Files CCG. Finger guns, and we are out. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We will see you on the next